Hey everybody, ECW fan, the Collector here, and it's time for another monthly movies pickups. Now, the pickups that you're going to see here aren't as major. There's not that many. A lot that was picked up happened at the flea market, and you saw that in the video. So, a couple weeks back. So here we are. With what I did pick up, I went to thrift stores, pawn shops, and I actually went to Big Lots. Yes, your local Big Lots does have movies, and they're having a sale. A lot of these will be for 75 cents to $1.25. Just if you go, they have a good section of movies, and if you look, some of them are marked down. Just and sometimes they'll forget to mark certain movies. Like they'll have one side, they'll have that same movie, but it'll be regular priced, and on the other side they'll have the $1.25, 75 cents. So, and these pickups, like I said, aren't as major. I think there's only one comedy, or maybe two comedies in the whole deal, but a lot of good horror films, scary movies. And I picked up two Blu-rays, which I'll start off with. One of the first ones I picked up was at the Goodwill. It was Crawl. And I've always heard Crawl was a very good horror film. And I was like, I'm going to get that for my Blu-ray collection. And that's one of the things I've been doing, is picking up a lot of decent horror films for my Blu-ray collection. And my Blu-ray horror collection is probably one of the best sections I've got. So, yeah, here we go. That's Crawl. I picked up Spider-Man, No Way Home. And that's another thing I've been doing, is collecting the Marvel movies on Blu-ray. I've been trying to build up my Marvel Blu-ray collection and getting those movies that you see on that. So here's No Way Home, which ended the whole, the first saga of Spider-Man. And he's been signed on. Tom Holland has signed on for more Spider-Man. He's signed on for a set number of films again. We're going to probably see, them coming out sooner or later, and before they introduce Miles Morales, because we know that's coming. Marvel's always been, the Marvel films are slowly introducing all the characters and changes, and Tom Holland won't be Spider-Man forever. They keep phases going, so he's got to, we got to enjoy it while it lasts, and he's done pretty good. I like No Way Home. There's one aspect I didn't like, which if you haven't seen, I was like, oh man, it was kicking the balls in a sense, because I liked a certain relationship. It wasn't Spider-Man's, but I kind of hate that kind of got the kibosh on it. But moving on from Spider-Man and Blu-rays, and we're going to go straight into comedy. And I picked up this one at the pawn shop, and I've never seen it. I've never seen both of these movies, and I've decided, I'm going to go in blind on them. For $1, why not? It's 50 cents a movie. I picked up Fat Albert and Rebound from Martin Lawrence. And Fat Albert is Kenan Thompson, as you can tell, as Hey. He plays the 70s, the movie version of Fat Albert. I've never seen this one. I know that Kenan Thompson doesn't have a good movie biography. He's got this one, and I think a movie called Hot Dog. But hey, he did have Good Burger. And that is coming, they're getting ready to make a sequel to that. Good Burger, I've got to find it. Yeah, Good Burger was a darn good movie. I've never seen Rebound either, so I don't know if it's any good or not. But at the pawn shop, I picked up this one. It is the Three Stooges Classic Cartoons Collection, and this has of the 16 Stooges cartoons. I believe this is all of them. And if anybody don't remember, in the late 60s, Larry, Moe, and Curly Joe had basically decided to go into cartoons. Pretty much the Stooges were touring again live, and cartoons animation was really their last avenue that they hadn't done, and they went into it, and they did like shorts before the cartoons would air. They would do the shorts of them, and then they would go into the cartoons. It was, it was nice to see the Stooges, still keep going, but it was their last hurrah. They basically, they were much older. I mean, after almost 40 years of being the Stooges, in different versions, and it was nice seeing it was nice seeing the Stooges do that. I have one of their sets on one of these movies, that a couple of their cartoons, but this one I think is their full collection. which was a nice buy. Now, here we go. This is the first one of the Big Lots movies that I told about. And you can see this movie on, I think on Hulu, or Tubi. I believe it's on Tubi. But it is the People versus Whitey Bulger. It's 75 cents. This documentary looks at the Winter Hill Gang, Whitey Bulger, who was not a very good person, and he was a very tough Boston crime lord. You know, he was very tough, and he was, you know, he was known for doing a lot, and his story, you know, where he went on to run for so many years is just wow, you know, and where he was found. You know, it was just one of those things, you know. I didn't think they would ever catch him. I thought, you know, I was like, well, that'll never happen. But they did. They caught him finally. And in the most odd places, you know, I think he was, him and this girlfriend was living as husband and wife. And he was actually living in this neighborhood or this apartment complex. And everybody thought that he was just this kind old man. And they just didn't know. They didn't really realize that Whitey Bulger was a wanted criminal. But this story with the Winter Hill Gang is in Black Mass. If you've never seen that with Johnny Depp, that is a very good movie. I hope Eddie's watched it. I picked up this one from the pawn shop. It is Al Pacino in Dog Day Afternoon and Al Pacino in Serpico, and where he plays Tony Serpico, the cop. This is Al Pacino is a really good actor. I mean, he's got that intense look, you know, like that, you know, intense, like he's getting ready to, you know, he's going to show up and he's going to be very intense, and he's got that Robert De Niro vibe, you know. You just look at him like, man, these guys look like they're going to kick somebody's ass on TV. This looks, even though De Niro's in his 70s now, you can just look at him like, that guy looks like he's going to kick somebody's ass. So even the Al Pacino. Now, this one come from a pawn shop. It's never been opened. It is a classic 80s film. It is War Games with Matthew Broderick. And I think there's a scene in this. He's a computer expert, and it's a very, you know, this South Park recently made, I think about 2 or 3 seasons ago, made fun of this movie with the whole Cold War aspect. And they had a computer genius guy, Mr. Mackey. But yeah, Ali Sheedy, Dabney Coleman, Matthew Broderick, John Wood, they was all in this movie. Is it a game or is it real? I've actually seen bits and pieces of War Games. I've got to sit down and watch the whole thing. So I picked it up, you know, brand new from the pawn shop, never been opened. Now we're getting into another Big Lots find. And this one actually has 2 movies that I've always wanted to watch. It is the sci-fi bomb Jupiter Ascending with Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis, and Cloud Atlas. Cloud Atlas is one of those that I've always wanted to watch. I've always heard it was this big spanning epic. I think it takes it's 2.5 to 3 hours. It's got Tom Hanks and it's got Halle Berry and it's got all these actors in it. But I've never seen it. I'm like, man, that would be interesting. I'm not going to pay no brand new price for it. So, with Big Lots sale, I was able to get these 2 movies for $1.25. Now, another Big Lots find that I found was, and this one's one really unique. I actually traded a set about so many weeks ago to Cheap Thrills, and it's actually, I got this one back. And in a way, and it's a new packaging in a way, because it was Superman, right? The Superman Adventures. Well, I've got it back. It's 75 cents. The Superman Adventures with Brainiac, and I think he shows up in 3 episodes here with Brainiac. I think that's the no. There's one more. There's one more Big Lots, and this is one I've been looking for a while. It's the first one of it. I've not seen the sequel, but I just loved Idris Elba in this movie. Me and Eddie went and seen it. He's like, come on, man, come and see it. Come and see it. And I remember it was in the early 2010s. Me and him went and sat down and watched it. It is Pacific Rim. Oh, yeah. Pacific Rim. where in the future these monsters have gotten loose and humanity builds these big machines to fight them. These Gundams or whatever, I think that's what they're called. But it's pretty cool. And I picked it up. I was like, that's a good movie to get. I've not gotten the sequel. I can't think what the sequel's called, but no Idris Elba. I don't know. But I went ahead and got this one. Now, this one came from the pawn shop, actually. This one actually came from another pawn shop that I don't usually go to. But the disc was in great shape. I've looked at this disc so many times, and I was like, I've got to judge it. I've got to make sure it's all right, because it's a Schwarzenegger one. It's an Arnold, and I needed it. And it's a unique one. It is End of Days. This could be an action horror film. Arnold is facing basically the God, I can't think of. He's facing the Satan or the devil, and he's got to protect this child, I believe. And Arnold pretty much dies in this film. It's one of the rare films that he dies as an action hero in this film. And I remember at the time, I think there was a fight that they didn't want him to die. The studio didn't, but the director was like, "No, this movie has to have him die in it because it's impactful for that." And he gives his life, to save this child. And it came from studio. I think this is pretty unique. It's a movie that came from some studio, Hollywood Video. Yeah, it came from Hollywood Video and it was watched. But the disc is in great shape. Old Hollywood Video. But yeah, this is one I needed. Plus, if you stay tuned to the end credits, it's got one hell of a good soundtrack. It's got Guns N' Roses with Oh My God. And that one is a song that you don't really hear Guns N' Roses sing anymore. But yeah, Oh My God, and a bunch of other ones is on there from this one, soundtrack wise. Now, moving on, I picked this one up at the Goodwill, and this one, all three discs are in good shape. This made me decide, hey, this is a very good buy to get. It's a 3 DVD set of the first 3 Spider-Man films. And the third one, I remember bad nightmares with that one. I actually had somebody in I know went and seen this one, but it was not a very good film. The third one was one of those, I think they jammed too much into it. And it would be kind of nice if they would put out a comic book version of Spider-Man 4, because there's going to do Spider-Man 4 and 5. Sam Raimi was going to do both of them together. And I really wish that they would just put out a comic book mini-series of what Spider-Man 4 and 5 was supposed to be. They could do it, and just wrap the storyline up. Spider-Man 2 is probably my favorite one of this set. Doc Ock. I really like Spider-Man 2. But yeah, this was a very good 3-movie set. It's just too much going on in Spider-Man 3. You've got the Green Goblin's son Harry. You've got I think it was the Sandman. You've got Venom. I mean, it was just jamming too much into it to make it work. And I think Sam Raimi didn't want to put Venom in that movie, and he listened to Sony. Sony was like, "No, we need Venom in this movie. We need Venom," and he's like, "Okay." Now, moving on to horror films. Horror-wise, I picked up 6 movies, and 2 at the end is probably my favorite ones to pick up. I was like, it'll flip-flop. You can decide which one you think is the best pickup for me, but one of the first ones I picked up at the Goodwill was Candyman 3, Day of the Dead. Oh, Candyman 3. I think I need the second movie of Candyman. I need to have all 3 of them. But yeah, Candyman 3, Day of the Dead. I love that artisan cover, man. Look at that. Look at that creepy cover. Just looking at you, the eyes. I picked up 20 classic horror films, and I think I might have had this one. I think I had this one. This one might be an extra unsealed copy. I'll have to check in my collection. I've got a bunch of these horror collections from the last year or two. I've picked up 6 movies, 8 movies, 20 movies, But this one had The Prophecy, 2, Halloween, Children of the Corn, Isaac's Return, The Dark, Hellraiser 3, I've got that one. Head of the Family, which I've always heard was a really good one from Eddie. Eddie said Head of the Family. I think it's one of those underrated good ones. Evil Bong 3. But yeah, this is a unique one. I think I might have this one. I have to check in my collection. Another one I picked up from the pawn shop was this cool Sci-Fi Creatures classic. 4 movies, classic set of The Giant Claw, 20 to Earth, Beneath the Sea, and Mothra. Yeah. I thought this was kind of cool to find at the pawn shop. I picked up The Hitcher at a... Actually, this come from a thrift shop. This come from the thrift shop. The Hitcher, Never Pick Up a Stranger. And this is from the 80s. And this has got Rutger Hauer in it. And C. Thomas Howell. If you want to know how 80s this is, you've got Rutger Hauer. C. Thomas Howell. You know, that's how 80s it sounds. You know. I like the cover too, man. That cover looks pretty intense. And I think I remember watching this on HBO back in the day. Now, these last two are two that I found, and this one comes from a thrift shop. And I'm shocked, you know. I was like, okay, I'm picking that up. I'm shocked that people just let this one go. But this was the horror film Bruiser, a film by George A.R. Romero. George Romero made this movie. I've never seen The Bruiser. I've never seen it. Eddie's probably got it. He probably could tell me about it. But yeah, this is pretty unique. So yeah, I went ahead and picked it up. And finally, the last one I picked up was one I've been looking for a while. I've got like the 3rd film in this series, or 4th. I think they made like 3 or 4 films in this film series, but this was the first one, and it's probably one of the scariest ones. It is Pumpkinhead. Oh yeah, Pumpkinhead. Lance Henriksen is in Pumpkinhead. And the story is just creepy. If you haven't watched Pumpkinhead, Lance Henriksen's character is a farmer. Well, growing up, his father, he had heard about this Pumpkinhead creature that if you went to a witch, she would unleash it. But if you got involved, if somebody, if you tried to stop it, or if you used it for revenge against somebody, or if like somebody was killed or something, and you used it as revenge, you tried to stop it, it would turn on you. And if you got involved, say you was like their neighbor, it would go after you and your family next. So nobody could get involved. Well, Henriksen unleashes the creature after his son is killed by accident, and it's a very good film for that. I like it, and Pumpkinhead would come back in like 2 or 3 more sequels after that. So it's pretty cool. I've got like I think the 1st and 3rd one, or maybe 4th, but yeah, I gotta get the Pumpkinhead movies. Good old Pumpkinhead. But yeah, that's my pickups. Not that many in May, but I did pretty good. Did pretty overall with the flea market and stuff like that. The last 2 months, I picked up a crap ton of films. I mean, the last from April through May, I've pretty much picked up a load of good, scary horror films and just all around good pickups. So I can't complain. So I want to thank you for watching this video, and I'm gonna go watch some classic Pumpkinhead.